Welcome to Sweet Tea Channeling. I'm Debbie Pokornik, and as always, with me is my partnerpreneur and our gifted channeler, Susan Hoskins. Today's episode is a sweet tea treat, where we take a nugget from a previous channeling and play with it in the stream of consciousness to see what new pictures might arise. We like to think of it as an incredible kaleidoscope, changing shape and color as we go. As we do this, we are raising our vibration, remembering parts of ourselves that we might have lost touch with, and perhaps most importantly, helping to create a reality right here, right now, that is filled with kindness, compassion, abundance, and delight, a place we refer to as Hoomadhi. We have already opened sacred space for all of us, but just want to remind you to take a moment to center, ground yourself, and then call in your own spirit guides to assist you in pulling out whatever is most relevant to you in this moment. All right, today's channeled nugget is: when facing a difficult situation, always take a moment to get centered, ask for guidance. We're always available to help you, and request the people that can most easily resonate with you.
Ah, that feels
Yes.
good.
Well,
Yeah.
it does feel good, because how often are we in a difficult situation and we feel so alone, so unsupported?
Right, right. And I try to practice this more and more often, and I find it works. I usually find just the right person I can resonate with, or it gives me the opportunity to try to connect on a deeper level to see why it's this particular person that is here to walk through this situation with me.
Right. Right. And then it becomes a question of, how do I help them help me? Right? How do
Mhm.
I help them turn this around so they can help me in whatever way I need?
I like that. I like that you brought that up because I don't know if we consciously think about it, but I'm flashing in my mind to doing that kind of thing, to just softening myself in the situation instead of the old Susie girl that would like to get in there and go to war over something
Poof,
or
poof,
gossip or
poof,
something.
poof.
Ooh, but I find it really is serving me much better to take a big old deep breath and try to soften me to then allow them to soften themselves because they don't have to defend against me.
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
Now that I live down in the United States, but my family is still up in Canada, we travel a lot by car. We like to drive up to Canada so that we can bring our dog with us and, stay there longer and all of that. And before I left the first time, I was really nervous about what it was going to be like crossing the border. Guess what I was really nervous about was the dog. My papers for the dog weren't correct. And one of my friends brought me a beautiful string with all these little pieces of glass on it. And at the bottom was this little round ball. And she said, I've programmed this to bring in the higher self of the
Mhm.
border crossing guard that you deal with, so that your higher self will be talking to their higher self. Well, ever since then, I mean, it ended up everything was perfectly fine. It was great. But now every time we come up to the border, I ask for the higher self of that person to speak to the higher self of me so that we can go through smoothly and easily. So I now sometimes do it even in a situation that's feeling like it might be derailing a little bit. I will instantly ask for the higher self of that person to come on board.
Thank you for bringing that up because when I go in to channel for someone else, and what I mean by that is I don't go in to predict the future, but
Right.
if someone wants a little bit more explanation or insight as to what they're going through, then I ask permission if their higher self will connect with my higher self when we go in to allow the tribe to speak, the guides to come through. And I always do that in the sacred space. But I love how you have brought that very practice down to earth, that we here, every single one of us, can do that in any situation. Just simply ask for the higher self of that person to speak to yours. Man, I love that.
I find it makes me feel calmer. And really that's what it's all about, right? Our heart can be more open when we're in that state of peace, that place of peace.
Exactly. And I love that again, because if you're in your higher self, there's no need to be defensive or to defend. You're communicating on the level that's for the highest good of everyone.
Right. And it's interesting because it kind of brings me back to a point we've talked about now a few times, but it reminds me that that border crossing person is simply another human trying to do their job to the best of their ability. So they're not out to get me either. And it just kind of changes everything and puts it into this very divinely human interaction.
Right. Beautiful. And, we have shared with people on other recordings how we visualize I'm kind of the staff reaching up for the nugget and you're the roots grounding it. What a beautiful example of that today, of how every one of us can live that practice of just calling in our higher selves and someone else's in a situation. That's awesome.
Nice. Well, I feel so good now.
Thank you. You really showed me something beautiful today that I like, that I will use. Thank you.
Ready to join us live on these calls? Send us an email at info.hoomadhi, that's HOOMADHI @gmail.com. We'd love to have you play with us.